the ancient city of Ibadan, there lived a young couple, Ayodele and Abimbola. For years they had tried to have a child, but despite their longings, Abimbola remained childless. Desperate, they sought the counsel of the elders, who told them about a powerful God who could grant them a child. Determined, they embarked on a long journey to seek the God's blessing. They passed through dense forest, crossed river, and faced numerous challenges on their way to the God. But their love for each other and their desire for a child kept them going. Finally, after days of traveling, they reached the sacred shrine of Latosa, the god of faith. Upon meeting the god, Latosa spoke in a deep booming voice. "You shall have your child, but listen well, for this child will be great, greater than you can imagine. Yet there is a curse. She will in time be the cause of her own destruction." They were shocked by the revelation. At that moment, they felt like they had made the wrong choice. But Ayodele encouraged Adebimpe and they accepted what the god said. Ayodele went further by asking if this curse can be reversed. So, they were advised that when the child turned 12, she must return to the shrine for a sacrifice. Ayodele and Adebimpe were filled with fear, but also hope. They promised to return and fulfill the sacrifice when the time comes. Latosa smiled and blessed them. After a few months, Adebimpe and Ayodele gave birth to a very beautiful daughter. Families and friends from far and near came to celebrate the joy of the newborn with them. Adebimpe was filled with joy, knowing that her worries and tears over being called a barren was over. Years passed, and Adebimpe grew into a beautiful and intelligent girl. Everybody in the village loved her strength. Abimbola and Ayodele also loved her deeply. The bond between them was unbreakable, and Abimbola cherished every moment spent with her daughter. But as Omotola neared her 12th birthday, tragedy struck. Ayodele fell ill and passed away, leaving Abimbola to care for their daughter alone. Abimbola struggled to survive in a world without her husband, but she remained determined to protect Omotola. She was so overwhelmed with the stress of training her daughter alone that she could not return to Latosa, the god. The memory of the prophecy haunted her, but she could not bring herself to return for the sacrifice. She's just a child, Abimbola thought. How could she be the cause of her own destruction? I will not let anything happen to her. But as time went by, Abimbola's health began to deteriorate. Her strength failed and her heart grew heavy with the burden of raising Adebimpe alone. Still, she promised herself she would protect her daughter from the curse, unaware that her delay was bringing the prophecy closer. On the day Omotola was preparing to sit for her WAEC exam, Abimbola passed away suddenly. Omotola was left devastated. Torn apart by the loss of her mother, she felt as if she had lost everything. Alone in the world, Omotola was sent to live with her aunt, Mojisola, in another town. Mojisola was kind, but Omotola felt lost and distant. With time, she tried to focus on her education and she soon gained admission into the University of Lagos. It was Omotola's first day at the University of Lagos. She felt nervous and overwhelmed by the new environment. She had just moved into the hostel, her few belongings neatly packed into a small suitcase. Other students seemed lively, chatting and laughing as they settled in. Omotola sat quietly on the bed, unsure how to introduce herself to her roommates. Suddenly, the door swung open and a bubbling, confident young woman with braided hair and a bright smile walked in. She held a large bag in one hand and a box of provision in the other hand. "Hello everyone, my name is Olamide," she announced cheerfully. Setting her things down, and she glanced at Omotola, who was sitting shyly in the corner, and smiled warmly. "And you? You must be my roommate. Omotola nodded, feeling a bit intimidated by Olamide's outgoing nature. I'm Omotola, she said softly. Olamide laughed. No need to be shy. We are going to be great friends. I can feel it already. Later that evening, when Omotola struggled to arrange her belongings, Olamide stepped in to help her. Here, let me show you how I organize mine, Olamide said, pulling open her neatly arranged drawer. You will feel more at home once everything is in place. Omotola hesitated. Thank you, but I don't want to bother you. It's no bother at all, Olamide replied. What are friends for? From that moment on, Olamide made it a mission to include Omotola in everything. She introduced her to classmates, invited her to group discussion, and ensured she never felt alone. Months passed, and their friendship blossomed. Olamide always found ways to lift Omotola's spirits, especially during tough times. One evening, Omotola sat on her bed, tears streaming down her face. She had just received her grades for a midterm semester test, and they were not good. I don't know if I can do this, she whispered, burying her face in her hands. Olamide walked over and sat beside her. Hey, don't say that. You are smart, Omotola. You just need a little push. Omotola sniffed. It's easy for you to say. You are always top of the class. I can't compete with you. Olamide took her hand and squeezed it gently. I don't want you to compete with me. I want you to succeed. Look, I will help you study for the next test. We will go through it together. Deal? Omotola nodded. Over the next few weeks, Olamide spent hours tutoring her, even sacrificing her own leisure time. When the results for the next test exam came out, Omotola's grades had significantly improved. Olamide was always thoughtful when it comes to her friend. One day, during the holiday season, she surprised Omotola with a small wrapped package. What is this? Omotola asked, her eyes widening in surprise. Open it and see, Olamide said excitedly. Inside was a beautiful notebook with Omotola's name engraved on the cover. I know how much you love writing, Olamide said. I think this would inspire you to start writing again. Omotola stared at the gift, touched by the thoughtfulness. You didn't have to do this, you know, right? She said, her voice trembling. I wanted to, Olamide replied. You are my friend and I care about you. One weekend, it was Olamide's birthday. She organized a birthday party for herself. The celebration was grand with music, food, and friends from all over the campus. Everyone seems drawn to Olamide's charisma, showering her with compliments and gifts. Omotola sat in the corner, feeling out of place. She couldn't help but notice how effortlessly Olamide commanded attention. It was as though the entire room revolved around her. Later that evening, Olamide approached Omotola with a slice of cake. Why are you sitting here alone? Come join the fun, she said. I'm fine, Omotola replied, forcing a smile. Olamide frowned, sensing something was wrong. Omotola, you are my best friend. This party wouldn't be complete without you. Omotola felt a pang of guilt, but also resentment. You don't need me. Everyone already loves you. Of course I need you, Olamide said. You are like a sister to me, you know. Things took a turn when Olamide started dating Tunde, a charming and attentive young man. Tunde would often visit their hostel, bringing gifts and taking Olamide out on a romantic date. Omotola watched from the sideline, her jealousy growing with each day passing. One evening, as Olamide gushed about Tunde's latest surprise, a rose flower and an handwritten note, Omotola couldn't contain her bitterness. It's not that special, she said. Olamide looked at her, surprised. Why would you say that? Today has been nothing but kind to me. Omotola quickly backtracked. I didn't mean it that way. I just don't think it's good enough for you. Olamide smiled. You are just looking out for me, and that's why I love you. But Omotola's feelings of inadequacy continued to feast her. She began to distance herself from Olamide. Despite Omotola's coldness, Olamide remained loyal and constantly checking in on her and always trying to put a smile on her face. One afternoon, Omotola decided to put her plan into action. She waited until Olamide left for her lecture while she stayed back. She then called Tunde. "Hello Tunde, it's me Omotola," she said, her voice trembling. "Omotola, is everything okay?" Tunde asked, concerned. I didn't want to tell you this, but I think you deserve to know the truth," Omotola said, hesitating for effect. "Olamide has been seeing someone else behind your back." "What?" Tunde's voice was filled with disbelief. "That can't be true. Olamide isn't like that." "I thought so too," Omotola said, pretending to sound hurt. "But I saw her with another guy. He brought another guy to the hostel. They were laughing and holding hands, doing all sorts of nonsense together. I just couldn't keep this from you." Tunde felt silent, his trust for Olamide shaking. And instead of Tunde telling Olamide what he heard, he decided to keep his distance. Olamide tried hard to fix back their relationship, but all to no avail. It took Olamide months before she could recover from the breakup. All through her trying times, Omotola was always consoling her, unknown to her that she was the architect of the problem. Years passed, and both Omotola and Olamide graduated from the university. Olamide quickly secured a job at a reputable company, while Omotola struggled to find employment. Despite this, Olamide remained supportive, paying their rent, buying groceries, and ensuring Omotola never lacked anything. "Omotola, don't worry," Olamide would say whenever a friend expressed frustration about being jobless. "Your time will come. I believe in you." But instead of gratitude, Omotola's jealousy grew. She hated that Olamide was successful while she felt stuck. One evening, Omotola and Olamide were strolling down their street when they met a man of God who runs a church in their area. The man stopped them and gave Omotola a revelation about her life. "You are walking in a dangerous path," he said. "There is a dark cloud over you, a curse from the spirit world. If you do not come for cleansing, it will lead to your destruction." Omotola felt a chill run down her spine, but quickly brushed it off. "Thank you, Pastor," she said politely. Olamide insisted they get the pastor's contact, which he gave them. After some days, Olamide reminded Omotola of the pastor's revelation and advised they go back to him for the cleansing. But Omotola ignored. "Cleansing? That man doesn't know what he is talking about. I'm fine." "Omotola, please," Olamide pleaded. "I care about you. Don't ignore this warning." "I said I'm fine," Omotola snapped, shutting the conversation down. As time went on, Omotola's resentment towards Olamide deepened. Despite Olamide's efforts to make her happy, buying her new clothes, taking her out for dinner, and encouraging her to keep applying for jobs, Omotola couldn't shake the bitterness in her heart. One evening, as they sat in their apartment, Olamide handed Omotola an envelope. "I got you this," she said with a smile. "What is this?" Omotola asked, opening the envelope to find cash. "It's for you to attend a professional course," Olamide explained. "It might help you get a job." Instead of gratitude, Adebimpe felt humiliated. "You think I'm some charity case?" she snapped. "Omotola, that's not what I meant," Olamide said. "I just want you to find something doing." Omotola then reluctantly expressed her gratitude towards Olamide. Days after, Olamide sat down with Omotola again. "I've been thinking about what the pastor said. Omotola, please, let's go back to him." "Enough, Olamide. I don't need a cleansing. I'm fine. Just leave me alone." Little did she know her refusal to heed to warning was setting her on the path towards her own destruction. That evening, Olamide invited Omotola to a club. The two friends danced, laughed, and enjoyed themselves. At the club, Omotola's eyes caught Desmond, a handsome, charismatic man. For a brief moment, she thought he might be interested in her, but when she saw him talking to Olamide, her jealousy ignited. Desmond smiled at Olamide and asked, "Would you like to go for a walk with me?" Olamide accepted. "I would love to." As they walked away, Omotola stood still, foaming inside. She watched as Desmond treated Olamide like a queen, paying attention to every word she said. He bought her drink, asked her about her dreams, and made her laugh. It was as if they met for long. Omotola's heart boiled with resentment. She wanted to be the one receiving that attention, not Olamide. Omotola's jealousy had grown to an unbearable level. She could no longer tolerate seeing Olamide happy and thriving. Despite all the sacrifices Olamide made for her, paying the bills, buying her clothes, and encouraging her to stay hopeful, Omotola's resentment only deepened. She felt overshadowed by Olamide's success, even though she was living off her generosity. One day, as Olamide prepared for a dinner date with Desmond, Omotola sat alone, sitting with envy. Her mind churned with dark thoughts. Why is her life perfect? Why is mine such a mess? She thinks she's better than me, doesn't she? Consumed by anger, Omotola decided she needed to eliminate Olamide from her life once and for all. She hatched a plan to kill her friend, believing that once Olamide was gone, she could finally be free from her torment. That evening, Omotola brewed Olamide's favorite herbal tea and secretly laced it with poison. She placed the steaming cup on the kitchen table and called out to Olamide, who was getting ready for her date. "Hola, I made some tea. You must be tired. This will help you relax." Omotola said, forcing a smile. Olamide beamed. "Thanks, Omotola, you are such a thoughtful friend." As Olamide reached for the cup, her phone buzzed with a message from Desmond. She got distracted and accidentally knocked the cup over. The poison tea spilled onto the floor. "Oh no!" Olamide exclaimed. "What a waste! I'll just grab some water instead." Omotola's heart raced with frustration. Her plan had failed, but she forced a smile. "It's okay, Ola. I'll clean it up." Determined not to give up, Omotola tried again few nights later. This time, she crushed sleeping pills into Olamide's dinner, hoping to make her unconscious so she could carry out her plan. As they ate together, Omotola watched anxiously, waiting for Olamide to show sign of dizziness. But fate intervened once more. Olamide only ate a small portion of her meal, saying, "I'm not that hungry tonight. Omotola, I will save the rest for tomorrow." Omotola's frustration grew, but she masked it with a laugh. "Sure, no problem." Desperate and angry, Omotola decided to confront Olamide directly. One evening, while Olamide was asleep, Omotola entered her room with a knife in her hand. Her plan was simple. She would stab Olamide in her sleep and make it look like a robbery gone wrong. As she stood over Olamide's peaceful figure, doubts began to creep into her mind. A wave of guilt swept over her. Memories of their friendship flashed before her eyes. Olamide helping her study in school, celebrating her birthdays, confronting her through heartbreaks, and sacrificing her own happiness to support her. But her jealousy refused to let her stop. "She doesn't deserve this life," Omotola whispered, gripping the knife tighter. Suddenly, Olamide stirred in her sleep. Omotola panicked, her hand trembling in a nervous state. She slipped on the edge of the bed and accidentally plunged the knife into her own stomach. Olamide woke up to see Omotola scream and saw her friend lying on the floor, blood pooling around her. "Omotola, what happened?" she cried, rushing to her side. Through gasps of pain, Omotola whispered, I wanted to hurt you, but it's me instead." Olamide's heart shattered as tears streamed down her face. "Why, Omotola? Why would you do this?" Omotola's voice was weak. "I was jealous of everything. Your life, your happiness, but you were always good to me. I'm sorry I didn't listen to the prophet." With her last breath, Omotola said, "Please forgive me." Olamide sobbed uncontrollably as Omotola's body went limp in her arms. In the days that followed, Olamide was consumed by grief and guilt. She relayed the prophet's warning in her mind: if she does not seek cleansing, her path will lead to destruction. Olamide blamed herself for not forcing Omotola to go for the cleansing. Perhaps if she had, things would have turned out differently. At the funeral, Olamide stood by Omotola's grave with a flower. "I'm so sorry, Omotola," she whispered. "I should have done more to save you. I should have seen the sign." Desmond stood by her side, holding her hand. "You can't blame yourself, Ola. You did everything you could." She made her choices. Years later, Olamide and Desmond got married. They built a life together filled with love and hope. When their first child was born, Olamide named her daughter Omotola in honor of her late friend. As Olamide cradled her baby, she whispered, "You are named after someone who was like a sister to me. I hope you grew up to be kind and strong, just like she could have been." Though Omotola's life had ended in tragedy, Olamide chose to remember the good times they had shared and the lessons she had learned. She carried Omotola's memory in her heart, determined to live a life filled with love, forgiveness, and gratitude.